Good evening. Tonight I'm going to take a look at Shiner Bock, and this is brewed in Texas. Shiner, Texas. Let me see here. Alcohol by volume. We may never know. Okay, I do not know because it does not say. So I'll have to look that up, and I will do so after when I put this video online. Hopefully that information is available somewhere. So I did a Bock, let's see, Mardi Gras by Abita yesterday or whenever that was. So this is a good follow-up. I see this a lot in stores, and I had expected that I would see it on the commercial examples list at the bottom of this category, and it wasn't there. So I'm curious if it's so widespread, why I didn't make it on this list, but we'll have to see. Maybe it doesn't stand up to the challenge. So this is BJCP category 5B, which is traditional Bock. Aroma. Definitely a toasty maltiness here. Lots of sweetness. I'm not getting a lot of hop aroma to it. Earthy, citrus, floral, otherwise. Nice clean smell though. It's good. Appearance-wise, so this is somewhere between copper and brown. I'm looking at it with the light coming through it, and it has a tinge of red, but it's like a light brown kind of copper ale. It does look nicely carbonated. It poured with the head, but it dissipated pretty quickly. So normally a large creamy head will persist, and this is not. I can never tell if it's because I pour beers poorly. I always tend to pour so it doesn't foam up, as opposed to letting it letting it. So we'll see. I think that might be my fault. On to flavor. I feel like this is very very different than the Abita Mardi Gras Bock that I had a couple of days ago. This is the flavor here is very light. It's kind of sweet, but it doesn't have that kind of toastiness. It doesn't have any dense, complex flavor. It really has very little flavor at all. It leaves a little bit of a sweetness on my tongue as an aftertaste, but only just a little bit. Body-wise, it's kind of thin. It should be, for this style, between medium and medium full. So it should definitely have some body. I find this to be kind of thin, and it certainly doesn't have that kind of thick, creamy slipperiness that I think is characteristic of a Bock. So I think it's missing that as well. I think carbonation-wise, it's probably the category says that it should have moderately low carbonation. I don't think that this is moderately low carbonation. It's not like over carbonated necessarily, but it's pretty well carbonated. I'm not getting any roasty, toasty flavor out of this, or a lot of deep, complex malt flavors out of this. I'm really not getting any hops either, which is characteristic for this particular style. The style is described generically as a strong, dark, malty lager beer, and I don't think that this hits dark well, maybe dark color-wise, strong or malty. So I feel like that's part of why we're not, maybe why it's not on this list of commercial examples. So as far as a Bock goes, I don't think Shiner meets the category. I think it's probably more closely aligned with like a lager. And by that, I don't even know if there's a dark lager. There is a dark lager category, dark American lager. It might be better matched with that, as a matter of fact. And I'll even flip through and just look real quick. I wish I had the alcohol by volume data too, so I can kind of compare these. As a matter of fact, now this is an interesting and misleading situation. Commercial examples include Shiner Bock, dark American lager. So that's interesting that they call that the beer is called Shiner Bock, but it's not a Bock beer. So I feel pretty good that I was able to correctly evaluate that it was not a Bock beer by looking at comparing it to the style standards, but that's a little misleading, I think, to the general public. So if we go back through this real quick, just to kind of compare it against dark American lager category, and that's 4A. It should have little or no malt aroma, little or no medium low to no roast and caramel malt spice, hop aroma range none to light. And so that all of that definitely qualifies. It's suggesting it could have like fruity yeast flavor or aroma to it, which I really didn't find. So deep amber to dark brown with a bright clarity, and in that respect, it's definitely spot on. It's crystal clear. Flavor-wise, it said it should be crisp with low levels of sweetness, and I think that that's a pretty good description. It's definitely a crisp, clean flavor. Short aftertaste, so that's correct, but no caramel or roasted malt flavors. So I think we're on par for that. So mouthfeel, it's a light to somewhat medium body and highly carbonated. And so in that respect, I think this beer is spot on. The comments about this particular style say a broad range of international lagers that are darker than pale and not assertively bitter or roasted. In the tradition of a lager, it does include adjuncts, rice or corn adjuncts, the use of caramel and darker malts, along with 2 or 6 row barley. So in the dark American lager category, Shiner Bock is spot on. So I find that very interesting and very confusing that it's named Bock, but that it's a lager. But yay for me for recognizing that it was incorrectly placed in the Bock category. So I'm curious. I know there are a lot of lager drinkers out there. Have you had a dark lager, and what did you think about it? So some good commercial examples of dark lagers are Dixie Black and Voodoo, Shiner Bock, San Miguel Dark, Baltica No. 4, Beck's Dark, St. Pauli Girl Dark, Vorsteiner Dunkel, Heineken Dark, which I haven't seen that around a lot. And then Crystal Diplomat Dark Beer. So I'm curious if you've tried any of those, and what your opinion was. If you're a lager drinker, what you think of dark lagers. Sometimes I feel like in this particular category, dark lager, it's kind of like Pepsi Clear. It's the same flavor, but it's a different color, and so our brains want to say that it tastes different. But I think they're very similar. Flavor, aroma, mouthfeel. Anyway, that's my observation on that. Share with me your thoughts about it. I would like to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good night.